So today, our demo I'm doing myself is Mohammad Imran Mohsen and my friend Dhruva Kumar.
I'm
Okay, so we are going to
Dhruv.
go through the yeah. So we are going to go through the basics of what we require in the DBMS project. Yeah. So what's the and we are making a web-based project. We are not making any other desktop project or something. So if you have any confusion between what code we are using now and the difference between other things. Okay, so we are using only website-based projects. Okay, so we are understanding what's the basics of web project. Okay, so we have a normal web project code that is divided into three parts: front-end code, back-end code, and database code. Okay, so database code is basically the queries. Okay, the which you have probably learned in your theory class. Okay. So before I go through the code, I just want to tell you what people expect from this, like companies. So in companies, web projects such as Facebook website or Amazon website and many more, okay, they have teams that build front-end development, back-end development, and database. Okay, so these developments have a category. Like if you want to apply for a job, you get a front-end web developer, back-end web developer, and a database administrator. Okay, so these are all the jobs which you can apply from doing this project. Okay, you can use this project in your resume. Okay, so today we are going to make something. We are going to be, as you guys are going to be a full stack developer. Okay, so you guys are going to make your own front-end, your own back-end, your own database code. Okay, so all the three things you're going to make it because the project is going to be really small compared to what big companies build. So you're capable enough to build all these things. Okay, so I'm assuming you will be in two in a team, so you can share your what do you call the efforts. Some people can make the front end and some can make the back end. Okay, so now I'll go in deep of what each of these front end code and back end code is. Okay, so what is front end? So the front end code is basically what runs in the client's PC. Okay, so as you go to google.com. Okay, so let me show you guys. If I go to google.com, so you can see my screen, right? So I've gone to google.com. Okay, so this whole thing is actually running in my PC right now. Okay, because as soon as I've written google.com, all the code from the Google servers has come to my PC. And how you can see the code is you can just click on this inspect, right click, inspect. You can see the whole code of what this whole web page is. Okay, so you can see like so if you click on this select inspect, so if you click on this image, it will tell me like, see, this is the code for that image. Okay, and yeah, it might look complex because you guys haven't seen HTML code so detailedly before, but you can get the idea how this all this code is coming in your website. Okay, so it's coming in my laptop and it's running in my laptop. Right? Okay, so this is all front end code, the things which you can interact with and stuff. Okay. So let's go back to the top. Yeah. So the front end code is the code which runs in the client's PC. Okay, it is usually built on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, it is used to build the user interface. Okay, the way the user will interact with the website. So let's say if you wanted to make something like uh, some travel agency website. Okay, so what you want the person to see? You want him to see the location places he has to select, the pricing, the dates, and everything. So that is going to be a user interface. So in this case, you saw the google.com that he had a search engine. So you can enter anything over there to search. Okay, that's a user interface. Okay, so like example, Google front end. So you could see something like this. Okay, so this is a user interface, Google front end. Yeah, let's go to the backend really quick. So backend is works on a server. Okay, so you have a dedicated computer, okay, which is known as server, which will run this code. And the reason why we do this is to keep it secure. Okay, so imagine if you want to run some login password. Okay, so your login username and password. When you do that, we don't want the front end code to run this code. Okay, because as you can see, as I showed you earlier, you could see this program code over here. Okay, so whatever you type over here is already stored here. So we don't want anybody to see this code. So that's the reason why people use backend to make sure all the secure processing happens over there. Okay, and in the front end, only the user interface is looked at. Okay, so this runs on a specific server. Okay, so backend is a code which runs on the server. So what are the different types of servers? We have Express.js. Okay, the one which works on JavaScript. We have Flask PY, which is basically works on Python. Okay. We have Spring Java, which works on Java, and we have one more called Apache, which works on PHP. Okay. So I'll be sharing you this PPT if you can't remember this names, or you can write it down somewhere. So you could select any of this to run the this web development backend. Okay. So all the websites processing is done in backend. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to display addition, okay, so you have a calculator, so you wanted to add 10 plus 10 over there. So this 10 plus 10 will go to your server, it'll add it over there and then send it to your front end and you'll get the answer 20. Okay, so that's what this processing does. Okay, uh, so we are also, and the backend also helps us to connect with the DBMS and the front end. Okay, so like you must have seen how if you go to Google and you wanted to search like some images or something. Okay. So you can see like if you can give a slash over here, I hope you guys can see this. So if you give google.com/images, okay, so it will go to the images site. So you can see how this different pages are there. If you do this, like if you have a slash, let's say books or something, okay. So it goes to google.com books. So you can see all these books. So you have the slash. Okay, so this is called as routing. Okay, and this routing is done by the backend. It'll help you to redirect them. So let's say they come to google.com, now they want to see images, they write google.com/images, it will go to images. Okay. So then images front page will come. Okay, so you can see that is called routing. This is done by DBMS. Okay, if you have any queries, you can ask later on. I'll let you know exactly if you have any confusion. So backend code looks so complicated over here. Don't worry. Most of this code is just copy paste, okay? Because most of this code you will not be writing again, again, and again. Everywhere, if you're writing a Facebook or Amazon or Gmail project or something, you would still use this similar code. Only a slight naming changes would be there. Okay. So this part of the code, which is looking so what do you call it, confusing, is the running of a server. Okay. And this you can see over here is very straightforward. You can see it's MySQL dot create connection. So these are where you write the, so database will have a username and password as well. Okay. We don't want everybody to access the server. So here is where we write our username of the database and password and the name of the database. Okay. So since you guys haven't touched on hands-on lab database, it might be a little confusing, but don't worry. I'll explain this in detail in further workshop. So this part of the code, if you can see it, okay, is basically connect the database. Okay, so these all things are happening in the back end. Okay, so you can see this running of the server is basically for the front end. So because you can see this admin events and login page and all these pages, right? Okay, so that you will see when we run the project. Okay, so you can see this slash. When we are running our project, we will do this slash login and it will go to the login page. Yeah, so database, you guys already have the idea of what it is. So it's basically, we are going to write code in the basis of queries. Okay. So to start with your database in your project, okay, we need schema diagram. And it's very important to have a schema diagram. And we also need an ER diagram. Okay, so I'll give an example how this schema diagram looks like. Schema diagram looks like this. Okay, so you, as per your syllabus in your project, you need to write minimum, these are tables, okay? Each of these are tables. So this is user credential table, this is student table, event table, and so on, so on. As per your syllabus, you need to have minimum of 5 tables. So that's the reason why we also have this many tables. Okay. So this is a schema diagram. I'll explain. I think you already know how to make this beforehand,
Yeah,
but it's very important for your project.
They have done with the first program of the lab session, Imran.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really great. So similarly, we have ER diagram as well. So if you have done the lab, you already know how this looks like. So this looks little complex because this project was little confusing. Eventually, you will get to know exactly what these notations are. For now, you just look at this. Okay. Yeah. So we know that. Now let's see how you can practically do it in your laptop. Okay. So in DBMS software, we can use MySQL Oracle. I think for lab projects, you're using this. I'm not sure. So we also have Microsoft Access. We have many more. I've just named few which I know. Okay. So I would suggest you using PHP My Admin. Okay, because it's very easy to what do you call do the setup. and all these things. So to use PHP MyAdmin, you have to just install this XAMPP software. Okay, and I'll explain exactly how to install this. Okay, in your PC for a project. So we are going to explain you exactly the project, how to make a project using JavaScript. Okay. Obviously, there are many other options such as PHP. You have Java, you have Python, and all these things. But since we don't have so much time to explain all of these, so we are going to go on one language. You don't need to know JavaScript before this. I will make sure that you understand each point of this. Any doubts you can ask me anytime. Okay. So we will be telling you how to plan your project, how to build it. So how the basic code for your front end has to be, how to write your backend in JavaScript, and how to make your database and connections. Okay, so these are the four important things we are going to tell you. Obviously, we will not be going in detail for front end and back end. We will only go detail in database. So the rest of those front end and back end, we will tell you exactly how to set it up. But designs and all these things, you need to understand your imagination, creativity, and so on. If you have any doubts in that part, you can still contact us. Okay. So any questions up till now, you can let me know in the this thing, the Zoom chat, or you can actually contact me. Sorry, I couldn't enter Dhruva's number. I'll share you the Dhruva's number later on. So this is my phone number in WhatsApp. You can ask me regarding any doubts. So you have any questions up till now? So this is what we are going to build. So if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. If there's none, just write anything, just write none or something, so I can continue. I'll be sharing the PowerPoint. Yeah. Recording CR will give it to you. Okay. Yeah. So if you guys want to save this number, you can take a screenshot or something. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is WhatsApp number. Yes. Yeah. Who said? Yeah. Of course, you can do any language you prefer. Okay. The reason why I'm doing JavaScript is because I made my project in JavaScript. So if you guys want to follow, you can follow over here. But I'll be telling about the front end and the DBMS part, which you can use it in your PHP as well if you're using PHP. Okay, that's the question over there. And yeah, backend and DBMS are different servers. Okay, they are different. They are not interrelated. The backend is used to connect DBMS. Yeah, so I'll continue now. Yeah, so we are going to use my friend's project, Dhruva Kumar's project, and Ayush Singh. They had built a project called as College Event Management. It's a DBMS project. So if you want to follow along, okay.
So this project was, with some project. So first, basically, when you want to build a project, first you think of what is the idea you are looking for. What is that you know about? It's not only the coding that takes here; it's also the idea. Where if you want to do something, you should know about that. So me and Ayush took this project as college event management system. So we were into event management, so we had this kind of interest and knew something about that, so that we can draw them in tables, because you need for DBMS tables, so you have ER and schema. Next, Imran.
Yeah. So I'll be showing the demo exactly how the project will look like. Okay. Give me a second. So, 2 seconds. I have a small error. Yeah. Okay. So let me just switch on this server part, and I'll show you guys. So we have, yeah.
RIA diagram and schema is really important if you want to do the project. So you need to have the blueprint proper. Otherwise, while writing the queries, you would have faced a lot of problems actually. So make sure when you are selecting a topic, you know something about it, so you can enhance it. Otherwise, it's no, because usually what people choose is a common management systems like railway tickets or movie tickets. So try to choose which you think can be implemented. So as basically our website has two logins. One is login for student, who another one is for registering them. So where they can, you have already registered, you can enter your username and password, and you can get access to the website. Or else you can register your. Okay. So this is backend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, edu university. Yeah. So here you can see our
So we
table.
saw the tables.
Yeah.
So you can see the username and password. We haven't encrypted it, so that's the reason why it's looking like that. Okay. So yeah, so I'm going to copy this and use it over there.
Okay.
There's a
So you
Batman.
can either
So
as an admin, you can there is roles actually. Okay. Okay. Now you got the access to it. So this is how the website looks like from the student's perspective. So there are two roles for this. One is student, one is admin. Admin can be a teacher in this. So whole this project was idea is about a event management system for a college. So you can do online organization of the events. So teachers will put the events and you students can view it and know the description about it. Click on view. So you will know what are the event name and what is the theme of the event and more information about it. So also you have a button as part. Okay, now already okay, Batman is participating. So if you haven't participated yet, it would show you the button as participate. So that will be entered in your database. That okay, click on the participate. Yes. Now if you see again, you are participating in it. So this is from the student side, how you are taking part in an event. So from the teacher side, you need to log out, and a teacher will log in. So I think Dhruva, okay, see the user and password. So from this you can
we have
enter
that.
your only student can register through the login only for this project. I mean, so you for teachers or admin, you can credentials in the backend itself. So they have roles and all. Go to backend. One second.
You
Go
want
to
to see
back.
the backend? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Show the backend. No, show
You
the
want to see the code or
database. Sorry.
the database?
Okay. Show the database.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can
So
see this part where
is it small or you
username
can
and
see
this is
it?
the password.
So you can see there
Just
as
use it.
an attribute called u role of this table, where it shows there is like 1 and 2. So people who have a specific roll number, they are having a special category. Either they are student or the admin. So that is how we can differentiate that. So Batman and that is role one. That is a student. You can register through the website itself. So if you have to be the admin in the backend, there will be credentials added there. So you can go and add a new row to it, saying what is there. Okay. So when you are an admin view, it is showing the list of events that is there. So you can either view it, edit it, delete it, and you can also check number of participants who are actually took part in that. So now you see a person bat as participated in this event, and the number of participants is 1. You can add event by pressing an event, add event. So you can give a title, more information about that event. Yeah, Corona. Yeah, so something like that. Yes. So you can set the limit actually. So over that limit, the people can't participate in that. And type of event and when is it, you can add those. So you people know about stored procedure and trigger?
Do let us know in the comments. I mean, in the Zoom
Yeah,
chat.
in the message. Okay. So I will be
They
in
know
that.
about the trigger,
Okay.
not stored procedures. Not yet been topic has been done.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am. So even like the admin can see the logs. So every time, anything is manipulated, edited, updated, so everything will be recorded in the log. So you can edit this. Yeah. See, this is yeah. So a event is created, event is updated or deleted. Everything will be maintained in this log. See, new event is created, college reopening. Yeah, this is our trigger. So okay. So now you can delete an event if you check the participant, it has no participants. If you delete it, it will be registered in the log. This is your trigger. Yeah. So now you go check the log and you can see this college reopening event is deleted. So every action that is being done is recorded here. And you can edit the event if you have already created it, change the date, change the title, and change the limit. Yeah. So even this will be stored in the log. So this part is very important actually. Okay. You can see the information through the admin side. And yeah, and that is how you do it. You can register by entering your name, usually user, okay, Corona, okay. So, and what's your name and your department. And when you sign in, this data will be stored in your database in the table. CSC, okay. Okay. Now, if you go to show in the PHP, my admin, okay. Yeah. Now you can see this new row in this table as Corona. Yeah. So, and it's your role is one, that is means student. So if you have to add a person's role as two, that is admin, you can't add it in the front end itself because it's admin can't register themselves there itself. So you add their details in the backend. So this is how the simple project works. You can change the
And
role of
also,
data.
the reason why we suggest you to use PHP MyAdmin is you can just change the name over here itself. Okay, so if I write this as Corona123, so the name changed over here itself. So this is really easy way to do your project. You can edit it very fast. But if you notice, if you use your lab projects, you remember like you cannot do this. Okay, it's not allowed in your lab. In lab, you need to write the whole query, like you have to update and so on, so on, so on. I'm not so familiar with the query. So if you use that query, and that's how you update it. But in this, you can just update directly by clicking on it. Okay. So that's the reason why we suggest you to use PHP MyAdmin. Okay.
Friendly user face
Go back.
interface. Yeah.
I forgot the spelling of Corona.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now he logged in.
Now you can view it and you can also participate. Hope so Corona doesn't participate in any of the events. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see this is updating.
Okay. So the number of participants has increased and the availability will automatically show its close once the number of participants are max. So if it is 25 people, the availability, okay, now if you change the participants limit to 3, the availability will be close. Go to admin. Yeah. Okay. The party. Okay. Six or 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's 5. Okay. You need.
So now if he participates, this has to change. So this is also a trigger itself. Okay. So what's going to happen is that if this is a table and this is another table. So if this table is going to be participated, the other table is going to
If
see the
one
availabilities.
table is affected, the other table will also be affected. So the availability is turned into close, because you have to take care of how the your project syllabus is asking you for. Okay.
Yeah. So this is really a simple project. It's available over here. We also have, I'll just to showcase you the other projects which we had, my other friends and all had made in JavaScript. Okay. Um, so we have one more as, yeah. So this one was like an OLX website. Okay. So we had our friends at called us. I'm so sorry. So this is a site where you can actually resell your old laptops, TVs, and mobile phones. Okay, this is one of the sites. So you could see the dashboard and see if your mobile phone has been pending or such. You can edit it, can increase the price, and so on. And you can so imagine you are purchasing this laptop, so you can buy it, and you can notice this product views. If I go back now and come back, you could actually see like one person has viewed. So it will also show you how many people have viewed something, and you can see the description. Obviously, this is a test website, so we haven't filled up all the description and everything. So, so this is 75,000. So if let me buy it, so it will show a bill and stuff like that, right? And you can just like that. Okay, so this is one of the sites, and so this is a little hard to build, and it will take a lot more time. So we are not making this one. So making a student event, and another one we had is this one. So, sorry, what local host? Yeah, sorry, you couldn't see the animation because Zoom doesn't allow you to see it. So this is the expense manager built by me. This is me and my Reddy as my teammate. So this is basically you're going to have. I don't remember the password. Yeah. Okay. So you could see this basically lets you see you have graphs in this. Okay. So you could see your expenses. So if you have an income, you want to add some income, you could say pocket money, and you can enter how many times you're getting it, once or something. So let's say you're getting 500 rupees or something. Okay. So you can select a category what it is. You could okay, doesn't come. It comes in salary kind of thing, right? So your parents are giving it to you, so you can select cash. Any subcategory you want, you can say this is my first pocket money, and you can select the date. So I'm going to select like probably last week or something. Okay, so November 1st. So as soon as you add that, it comes up over here. You can see that it was 1,000 before, it became 1,500. Okay. So let's say you purchase something. So I'm going to enter, let's say, what do I want? I'll buy a mask. Let's buy a mask. I'm buying 2 masks. Let's say it costs 50 rupees each. So it doesn't come in, comes in medical. So let's say I had cash, so I'm paying in cash to stay safe. I'm just going to enter something like this. And I need to enter the date. So let me say I purchased this on 7th. So I'm going to add it. So you can see this medical now. So you can see the graph. You could build something like this as well. Okay. So if you want to see it in detail, you can click over here and you can see this. So unfortunately, you can't see the graph properly because I've selected really bad colors. Yeah. So you could see this search box where you can see all this build and everything. Okay. So this is a little complicated and we will not be doing this, but I'm telling you, you can do this as well. Okay. And so this is the groceries and stuff like that. Okay. So since we have only 1 minute left, okay, so you have seen the projects which we have already built. Okay. I mean, it's built by a lot of other seniors and us and Dhruva and everybody. So, so we are going to do the college event management because it's really small and it's very easy to explain to you guys. So you guys need okay, I've already given you the contact, so you can contact us from that WhatsApp. Anyways, so let's continue. So if you guys are using laptop right now, if you want to follow exactly what we're doing right now, you can do so. To follow us, you need to download 3 stuff. Okay, if you already have it, it doesn't matter. So you need to download VS Code. Okay. So and the second thing is you need XAMPP server, and you need any browser. Okay, you can use Chrome or Brave browser. I would suggest not using Edge or Firefox. because it will look a little different if you do. If you want to download those, I have a couple of links over here. I'll just put it in the chat so that you can see it. Let me put it over here. Yeah. Yeah, and to download the XAMPP server, okay, so that's the first one is for VS Code. Okay, so you can, so if I go to VS Code, so this is what you need to, if you want to follow us. I mean, there are many other editors you can use, but if you want to follow exactly the way, if you have any confusion, it will be hard for explaining, but it doesn't matter. You can use this one, or you can use anything which you already have before. There is Sublime, there is not. You can just use Notepad as well. So you can select. It's up to you. But for the XAMPP server, I would really suggest you to actually go to the selected one, which I've told you. Download this for Windows if you're using Windows, and other operating systems if you have. So you can download it anywhere in any directory. Doesn't matter. Okay. So you make sure you have this both before we continue the system. Okay. Okay. So if you have any queries, why it's not downloading or anything, let me know. I'll continue after this. All good? Okay. Yeah. So before we move on, or when you guys are installing this, if whoever are on the what do you call desktop, okay, let's do this really good trick in JavaScript. Okay, it's just for fun. You can try this. You can see this code. It's so confusing. Okay, the reason why I want to show you is like how powerful JavaScript is for your front end. Okay, so this code, I'll just copy this and give it to you in the 1 second in the chat. I want you to copy this code and follow the instructions that I provide. Okay, so this is the code. Okay. So these are the instructions. Okay, so you go to a browser. Okay, open a website that has few images. Okay, even if you can go to google.com also is fine. Okay, click on F12. Okay, you will get the developer tools. Okay, the one which we did earlier. You can also right click and open inspect source. Okay, so you can go to the console tab and then you just paste this code. Okay, and you can see the magic. Okay, so if you haven't followed this, I'll show you how to do this exactly. So let me just show you how this works. Okay, so let me go to a browser. Yeah, so I'm over here, right? So let me go to google.com. So you can see google.com, right? So let me go to. So when you go here, okay, so if you have not done this, you can click on F12, or you can click on right click and inspect. Okay, if you click on inspect, you get something like this, and you need to go to console tab. Okay, so once you go over here, you get something like this. You just paste the code over here. Okay, and then press enter, and you just see what you can see. Okay, because I can't show you right now because you can't see it through Zoom. But yeah, this is some awesome thing to do. So when you click enter over here, you can see how this the images start dancing. Okay, so this is how like JavaScript is so easy. You can just write JavaScript code over here on any browser, on any web page, and you can edit exactly what it's doing. So right now, if it's lagging for you, it's basically like these are dancing right now. Okay, so this code is made for such a thing. Yeah. Okay, so this is something really awesome to check it out. Okay, so you can trick your friends or anybody. So I just wanted to show you how front end works. So front end, you can actually start coding in the front end over here itself. Okay, if you go to JavaScript, if you go to the inspect, and then if you go to console, you get this place where you can write JavaScript. Okay, so whatever code you just pasted is actually JavaScript code, and you can see how these images are like jumping around and everything. If you are feeling really obnoxious, you can just refresh this and it will be back to how it is. Okay, so I'll be sharing you this PowerPoint. You can just test experiment with this thing and check it out. Okay, so I hope you guys have already installed this. If you have installed, I'll move on. So let me just go back. So you guys have installed this, right? So if you have any issues with this, let me know right now, because after that, it'll be very hard to keep track of what's going on and stuff like that. Yeah, so if you are following, you would let me know if you're installing this, okay? So can I move next step? Is it compulsory that we use JavaScript for front end, and can't we use C combo? I don't know about C# in Java in front end, but you can definitely use PHP. That is for front end. If you have heard something called as jQuery and all these things, these are all JavaScript based things. The easiest way to use front end combos are using JavaScript. Okay, so using C would be a little complex, but there is no one stopping you from doing that. You can definitely do it. Okay. For today's project, we are not going to do that. We are going to use JavaScript. Okay. And also, don't worry if you guys couldn't follow this. We will share the code, the whole code, so that you can run it in your PC right now after this demo, after this workshop. I'll be moving on next. I'll just go out with this. Okay. Yeah. So the next step is to make the blueprint of what you're going to make. Okay. So I'm assuming you will have about your internals is over, so you have about 1-2 weeks of normal classes where you can actually take 1 or 2 hours of your time and work on your project. Okay. So blueprint is a plan which you make. Like, let's say if you wanted to go to your college, so you would first understand how to go. So you will be like, what's the map location? You will first draw the location in your mind, and they'll be like, yeah, this is how I need to do. So first I need to wake up, I need to brush, I need to have my breakfast, wear my clothes, and stuff like that. And then you go to your college, and that's the blueprint in your mind every day, every morning when there was no COVID-19. So you can understand this. And right now also is something similar, but you're going to open your laptop or something to open your college. So that's a blueprint. So we have a similar blueprint for your project as well. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is, I don't know if you have been already selected your ideas, but if you haven't, first thing you need to select and research your project ideas. Okay. So that's very important to research it, because if you pick some ideas from internet or something like that, you will get the idea, but you will not know what to build. Okay. You'll be very confused, like, oh yeah, okay. So like example, railway system, railway ticket or something. Okay. So you got the idea, but what's the, like, how can you relate yourself with it? Do you know how the railway system works, or do you know how the ticket system works? If you know those ideas, then your idea is perfect. You need to research before you get the idea. Okay. So second thing is to understand how MySQL queries work, which you're already doing because your lab is already started, right? So I would suggest you to practice more of those in your lab queries, so you'll get much better understanding. Okay. Otherwise, if you have free time later on or something like at the time, so you can go to the site called as w3school.com, and sorry, one second. Yeah, so you can go to w3school.com, and so you can, if you go over here, you can Google this. So if you're in a Google or something, you can just write w3 school, and you can go over here. So you can see SQL tutorials. Yeah. So these are exactly same as how you have been taught in the class. So in case if you want to, what do you call, refer your queries for your project. Okay, so you could just go to this site. Okay, this is loading a lot. Okay, so if you can go here, so this is loading. Yeah, so you can see all these queries. So how to start, select star, and you can see all this different types of queries you want, and so on, so on. Okay, so you can test it out, and the link is being shared in the Zoom chat. Okay, so you can store that as well. So you can see create database. So if you go to create database, it will tell you exactly how to create database. Okay, see that, and create table. And see over here. Yeah, obviously your lab projects, lab programs are much better than these ones. These are just to refer really quickly. Okay, so since you don't have physical manuals right now, you can just go to this website and check it out. So you can even try it out yourself. So click out over here, and so if you can see run MySQL, okay, it will actually create the table. So this is the table which was created. Test it out, experiment yourself, and you can learn much better. Do this in your free time. But I would suggest you to follow the lab projects, lab programs. They are really enough to understand SQL. Yeah. So understanding MySQL queries, Then the third part is to build your ER and schema. Okay. So if you understand how to make an ER and schema diagram, you are almost done. Your project is almost done, because this is the most important thing. And it's also kind of hard thing, because you're creating your own ideas and you're creating your own ER diagram. Okay, you're not copy pasting your ER diagram from somewhere else or something. So this is a really cool thing. And if you are expert enough to build your own ER diagrams and schema diagrams, you have a really good scope for your job interviews, where database administration. Okay, these people do this, and they have a really good salary as well, and they have a lot of opening right now as well. So the first step is to go through the front end design, the user interface that we saw for google.com, and you saw the login page, all that pages. Okay, so we want the user, whoever is coming to our website, to understand how the website works without even be giving any information. Okay, so example, so like we saw this website where okay, so if you go to my website, let me log out. Oh, sorry. Yeah, oh, sorry, I have actually stopped the server once again. Yeah, so when you come to this website, okay, so you obviously know what to do. Okay, I don't need to tell that you need to sign in or sign up. Okay, so you'll obviously continue what it is. You would sign up, and this is your going to be user interface. And when you come to this place, you already get to know. I don't need to tell you, oh yeah, this is income. I need to click on this. This is expense. I need to click on this. You can see what. So if weekly, how much I've spent, lifetime, how much I've spent. So I don't need to give you a tutorial. You're understanding it by yourself. So you have to make your site something like this. Okay. So that's also a point. So designing your user interface. Okay. So some people work on user interface so much that there is actually a job on that. Okay. It's called UI UX developer. Okay. So these people are the people who make only the front end website, and you must have seen all these Facebook sites and all these things. So these are all actual job opportunities you can try for if you're really good at it. So we'll be building the front end code. That's straightforward. Then designing the back end code. Okay. So we might think like back end code is just writing some random code or something very complex, very hard, and everything. It is not very complex. Okay. All you need to do is you need to understand what code is doing. Okay. And that's it. You don't need to back it or anything, because all this code is going to be similar in the internet. Okay. You just need to copy from there and write it down, but you need to know how it works, because this is the same code used in all the websites for JavaScript in this case. So you just need to know exactly how it works, and that will give you a big information on how to execute your project and everything. Okay, so an example, if you come over here, okay, so you can see there's so much of amount of code over here. It's very random, okay, but it's not so complex. Okay, so you can see these things are basically like how you use in Java import your projects and import your math library or such. In C you import your uh, Ponyo.h. So this is the same thing over here, okay, for JavaScript. So we are inserting Express, we are inserting this body pass. I'll explain later on what those are, MySQL, and so on, so on, so on. Okay, so these things are with respect to my website, my project. So in other projects you might not see it, okay. So that's what backend is. So we'll be building our database, which is basically your queries, so which you have understood your queries over here, right? So you're going to write your, you have your ER diagram as well. So I'm going to copy that and write the queries for that ER diagram, and then build your database. Okay. And the last thing is to connect the front end, back end, and database, and your project is purely ready. Okay. So you're going to follow these 8 things, and don't worry, this will get over in less than, like if you're making your own, it will take less than a week. So it'll not take much time. I know there's a lot of points over here, but each of these are interrelated. Okay, so and most of the code is very basic. You just need to reuse it again and again, and you can build it. Okay? So let's see first how to research and select. Okay, so this project was built by Dhruva, and I would ask him like, how did he get the idea of college event management?
Basically, it was an idea for we wanted to do something like this from the start. you are interested in something, you can implement, because idea was one part and execution is another part. So if you are interested in something and you know more about it, you can definitely make it. So it can be anything. So you can take an example like event management system itself, or you have something regarding can let's take an example, general example. You are a good teacher and so gaming, or because why I'm telling like general examples like which are not actually usually made, so that you people can get an idea and turn it into your interest to building it. So playing sports, yeah, it's possible where you can make it. Your blueprint is very important to build this. Your blueprint will come from your idea. So what is your idea? You have to ask the question for yourself. So my interest was in organizing events. So I used to take part in events because we didn't have fest, but we had kind of small events. So why not to make it as a DBMS project? So first, what you have to do is what all are the okay. So you have to know what all the attributes that will come up for your tables. And because in DBMS for your VTU have a limit of 5 tables and so and so. According to that, you have to build. All you have to have is a basic knowledge and an interest about that idea. You can definitely implement it on your project.
Thanks, Dhruva. So I had asked him before this, like how he got the idea. So what are your interests in domains is what I asked. Okay, so domains is basically your different ideas. Like let's say you like bicycling, you like to go to gym, you like to play some games or something. So Dhruva's passion and was on organizing events. Okay, he really loved events, organizing events. He had organized the Freshers Day for you guys. So you already know how awesome he is. So organizing events, and he loves playing sports. So he had these ideas. So now he was thinking on how to what solutions he wanted to be uh, of his interest. Okay, so what solution can he build from his interest? So organizing events, he could build event management, and from playing sports, he could make something like sports warehouse management, where all the sports equipments are stored and so on. So since it's a team effort, okay. So once you get the idea and once you know the solution, such as I think yeah. So he had an idea of college event management. So he discussed with his team and he discussed with his guide. And once they were in the proper situation, and they finally finalized college event management. Okay. So now, as Dhruva already knows organizing events, so he already knew what he wanted. He wanted people to participate. He wanted people to build some events for the colleges, and he wanted to keep track of who's participating and who's not participating. Okay, so that was his idea, and that's how this project is built. So now understanding queries, which you guys have already done in your lab, and you're still doing it. So you have all these things, and you have much more than this. So these are very few things over here. Okay. So practicing your queries in MySQL software is really important, so that you get a better idea of database. Okay, and there's no loss in practicing this, because this is what you're going to do in your job as well at one point. If you're applying for database administrator, okay, so you're going to probably be using all these queries in your job, and that's how you can get appointed. Okay. So I don't know the lab MySQL which is used. It is used in console. The one which you're using in lab, I don't know exactly. But if you're using PHP MyAdmin, okay, it's very simple.
MySQL.
Can you use
The lab is used. The software is MySQL.
MySQL? Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, you could use that as well if you have already installed, or you could use this PHP MyAdmin if you whichever it likes, whichever feels proper for you. Okay, I have a question. Can we use PHP with MySQL or Postgres or SQLite instead of using PHP MyAdmin? With PHP, and if we can use MySQL or Postgres or Oracle, then why should we prefer PHP? Yeah, of course. You can use Postgres, MySQL. You can use even SQLite. My favorite is SQLite, but you can't use SQLite because in your syllabus we have certain queries which you cannot use, such as I don't think so you can use storage procedure and triggers in SQLite. I'm not sure. You need to check it out. But I personally, when I was doing the project, I was not allowed to do this. Postgres and MySQL you could use if the queries. I don't know about Postgres. If you have the syllabus queries, then you are allowed to do. Otherwise, you are not allowed to do. Okay, because is a VTU's rule that you need to use MySQL queries at all times. Okay. Speaking about PHP with connecting with this, sorry, I don't know PHP myself, so I can't exactly give you the information on that if you can use, but I'm pretty sure PHP is adaptable to any database, MySQL, Postgres, SQLite, MongoDB, that's also there. But for this project, I would suggest you to just stick with MySQL or any MySQL based queries like I think Postgres also lets you do that, so you can do that. Okay. I'm just suggesting PHPMyAdmin because that's the easiest to set up. Okay, you can use anything if you are really into those. Sorry, what was your answer? Whether this project is good for data science for jobs? You can make a project which is good for data science jobs. Okay, but right now, which project we are doing is not a data science job, data science project. Okay, but definitely, if you have an idea such as, let's say, you wanted to keep a statistics of IPL. Okay, so every single game which is played, you want to keep statistics of that and store it in your database. Okay, so let's say one run is taken, so you store that one run. Okay, so you make it automated, something like that. So that database will become a data science. Okay, and you can use it as your resume for data science jobs. Okay? Of course, you can make a project like that, but this project which we are doing right now is not a data science project. Okay? So of course, your ideas is the best that you can find for yourself. So PHPMyAdmin. So I'll just give you a quick glance on that PHPMyAdmin thing. Actually takes care of it. So if I click on, so I have something like XAMPP. This is how XAMPP is. Okay, and so I just need to click on this start. And once it's started, I've already started, so I will not be clicking on it. I click on admin, and it will open this PHPMyAdmin. Oh. Yeah, I need to start
Apache.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so you have this. Yeah, so you have this. So now if you click on any database, let's say I want to create a new database. So if you're testing out something, test. So this is how you create your database. Or because you need to learn queries for your exams and everything, you can just go over here and write create database. Since it's even suggesting you the words, you can do that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to enter. And once I'm done, I'll click on this go. And my database is created. Let's see this. And so this, so let's say, so let's create another some table over here. Create table test test. And so I need to create some queries. Let me say, I'll just create very small characters. I'm actually really bad with my spreadsheet. So what you'll do with that is, so since I'm really bad with queries, okay, you can just go to this and refer, or your best reference is your lab manual. So I'm going to go here, create table, so I can see this. I'm just going to copy this for practice and paste it over here. Okay, so you can see this is table is going to create it. Go, and that table is created for us. Okay, now. So since this is a, yeah, so you can see this. Okay. So unfortunately, I don't know if in the MySQL it shows all these tables like this and you can edit it. But in this, you can actually edit it like this. Okay, if you are in very, like you are near to deadline or something and you really want to test it out, you can actually change the things over here itself. So imagine I don't want person ID to be called person ID. I'll call it as person ID 1. I'm going to save it. So you can this, but I would suggest you really to use the queries to update your section. So like say update person ID 1 value and so on. Yeah, so you can test it out over here in MySQL, this PHPMyAdmin. But I'm not going to tell you like this is the best one. You can use any. I'm just telling this is the easiest to set up in your laptop as a Windows user. Okay, so let's go back to the thing. So designing schema and diagram. Okay. So one really cool site. Obviously, the best way is to do it in your notebook or something. Okay. You have to draw it down in your notebook, the diagrams as per your syllabus. But if you're not interested in doing that, you can actually use a digital way. Okay, so we have a website called Creatively. Okay, so this is the logo of it. You can go to this site. Let me share you the link, and I'll show you what's the benefit of this. Yeah. So today we will probably be ending with this ER diagram itself. So let's look into this ER diagram. Let me open my chart. Okay. Zoom chat. Yeah. So if you want, you can just go to this site and bookmark this website. This is a really cool site. So I'm going to open the site. Let me just open this, see if I can fix it out. It should be free. Yeah, it's perfect working. Okay. Probably it doesn't work in some browsers. It works in some browsers. Okay. So I believe you get for free all these things. You need to check it out yourself later on. So let's go back to schema diagram. How does schema diagram look like? You all know how schema diagram looks like. So we would have. So this is one of the boxes. So I'm going to create boxes. So we have something like this. Now, so we have 3 boxes over here. So what is this looking like? This is like an attribute. Okay. So yeah. So this is like attributes. So let's say since we are making our college event management system. So we need, first thing you saw was login page, right? So what do we need for login page? Okay, we need username. I'm going to write user name. I hope it's visible for you guys. Sorry. Zoomed out too much. Sorry. Yeah. So let me zoom this in now. Yeah, I hope it's visible for you guys. Okay. So one of my attribute for logging in is username, and another will be password. Okay. And as we know, every table needs to have a primary key. So we'll give a primary key for this. So I'll call it as UID for basic visualization. Okay. Yeah. So Priya is telling it's free for basic visualization. Yeah, oh, you're asking me. Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So if it's working,
I
make
was
sure you
trying to
use
say
Google
it
Chrome.
is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, wait, it is. So it is free for basic visualization. So do try it out. It's pretty cool. It's very easy to take out this, and you can just export it as PNG, and you can use it in your project report. Okay. So let's get back to the schema diagram. So we have 3 attributes over here. So one is the primary key. So this is the username we require for logging in, and we require password. So this is the most common thing we require for any project. If you are making any project on, let's say, aeroplane, airplane we call booking or something like that, maybe travel agency or a book library or a college, some kind of project, you always require username and password. So in this project also we require username and password. So we have that. So let me name this table. You can click on this text and write it down over here. So I'm going to call this as user credentials. Okay. You can name it anything. Okay, you don't need to just write it same, but make sure whatever you're writing over here, this is what your queries are going to be. Okay. So make sure what you write over here is what your queries are going to also follow. Okay. So make sure that. Now, since in our project we had 2 roles, like Dhruva was explaining, one was an admin and one was normal student. Any student can come and log in and can participate in any event, but an admin can make a new event. Okay, so let's say he wanted to celebrate Freshers Day, so he can create a new Freshers Day event and paste it over there. Any student can log in and press participate, so he'll be participating. Okay, so so we require one more. So I'll just copy this part and paste it and see how simple it is. So I can just attach it and I'll just change this to role. So you can see one of your tables already created. Done. So now I'll be going pretty fast. Okay, so the next, oh yeah, one thing you can do is just select this all and just move around and make it as easy for you as possible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another table, another table. So I'll be copying this and just pasting it. And simple as that, you can literally make another. So all you need to do is edit on this. Okay, so so I need more. So one more thing I need now is so we have students. Okay, so we want to make sure in our project, we want to make sure the student is from certain department. Okay, we want to make sure that student is from ECA department, CS department, BM, biomedical department, or all other departments, whichever department. So we want to keep track of it. So whenever a person is registering, we want him to store the department's information. Okay. So I'm going to make a new table over here. Students. Have a new table over the students. Now, so student would have a student ID. I'm going to store it as student ID, SID. Okay. And we obviously want to store his name. So we'll keep it as name. And we want to know department. It's very similar to your basic example where you have that employee table ER diagram, where the employee in the company has two tables communicating with each other. Okay. So you could see, okay, we don't need the fourth attribute here. Yes, we really need three attributes. So now we could notice that our UID and the SID, okay, are supposed to be interrelated, okay, because the user credentials is everybody, okay, it is admin also, it is students also, all the things. But we want all those admins and students department. Okay, so what you can do is you would put a foreign key and tell that UID is connected with SID. So there's one awesome thing we can do over here is we can connect the dots. So you can just click like this. Select, you get a dot over here. That's it. And if you want an arrow mark, oh, wrong arrow mark, sorry. Arrow mark. Okay. So you can see. So now this primary key is yeah. So yeah, so we have students. So we have the students. So you can now you know how to make a foreign key. You just make this arrow. If you did not follow, you can click on this drop connector and then connect it to over here. Okay. And yeah, so you can do the same thing over here. Or if you want, you can just separately connect it if you like. So and if you want to remote, you can just click on. Use Control Z and Control Z to remove it. Okay, if you have any mistakes or something. Okay. So I'll move on really quickly now. So since we have only some 20 minutes. So I'm assuming we require 5 tables. So I'm just creating 5 tables. Okay, because that's the rule. You need to create 5 tables. Yes. So now, so I have a login page. I have students page. Okay. So now I want to keep track of the events. Okay. So so I'll be making a table called events. Okay. It's very straightforward, right? So in your case, if you are making some railway or something, you would want to keep track of the trains. So if it was events or not, we are already doing events. If it was library, so you would probably keep track of the book names or something. Okay. So in this case, I'm keeping track of events. So I have the events. So now it's very straightforward that I always require an ID. So I'm going to put it as EID, stating that E is the events over here, and that's the ID. Okay. So now the other attributes I need to think about. Okay. So what do I need for my events? So I would probably require. Let me try to type it over here. So I would require name of the event. So I need name. So I need name of my event. Then what else do I require? I would soft form the project or something. What else I require? I would probably require what do you say that I can't. What is participants? Yes, I participants. Of course, participants. So I can say I require participants. Participants I require. I would require what type of event it is. Is it science event, culture event, or something like that? The location. Yeah, very good. Said that. Venues. So Zuha said participants, and so you guys are already getting it. So we already have this so many these things. So let's start making them. Okay, so I'm just going to clear this. I'm just going to go back to yeah. So I'm going to have name, have department. Oh, so this is very straightforward for us. We already have these two things. So what else we had was we had like yeah, pretty good. So we have oh wow, this table is going to be huge, I guess, because we have so many things. We have participants count. Okay. The reason why I'm not writing participant is because it will be too long. So if I write participant count, also I think I spelled it wrong. I don't know. So this is going to be too long. just write count. It's going to be easy. Reduce as much as text as possible because it will be easy. Event occurring, booking, yeah, event occurring, yeah, true. Booking, open, close, yeah. We need to keep track of if the event is open or not. Yeah, very good question. Who's this? Yeah, Priya, she suggested booking, right? So I'll tell you why we don't need booking over here. Okay, let me just finish this attribute and then I'll do that. Oh yeah, we forgot one thing. Because she said booking, there is one thing to remember. What is the max limit of people allowed in this event? Okay, so we can put max. I'll just zoom out a little bit. I hope you guys can still see it because this thing is too long. So I'm going to put it here. Okay. So max amount of people who can attend this event. What we are forgetting, if venue was suggested. Let's put venue. And then, yeah, what else do we require? Oh, yeah, so she said booking, right? Let's put booking as well. Why not? So let's put, what do we say booking as? We can't say booking, it's a really abnormal word. We can say vacancy. Okay? So we can say vacancy. That basically means if there's any space left, right? Okay, so we got this huge table over here with so many attributes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so that's a huge amount of attributes. Nice. Okay, so we have finished this table. So let's go on with the next tables which we have. Let's see what else we have over here. So yeah, so we require, yeah, I'm looking at the chart. Wait, I'm giving this person recording 1 second. Okay, we can record as well. Okay, so we have finished 3 tables. So let's move on fast. So now we need to find, yeah, so in user credentials, we had students. So obviously we require admins as well, right? So we need organizers. So let's make a table called organizers. I'll copy this because, oh yeah, it's already copied here. I'll just edit on this. Event organizer. And the reason why I'm not changing the names over here is because I already have the queries prepared for this with the exact name. And so I'm not going to change the spelling and everything. So it will be harder for me to explain to you guys. Okay. So what does an event organizer should have? So he should have his own name and department, same as the student. Okay. So students has his name and department. So organizer also has student name and department. Okay. So now, why would this organizer would have? What does it require? Okay. So the organizer would organize the event, right? So he has his own organizing event. Okay. So why not? We'll give him an ID. Okay. So OID because we already used E over here, so we are using O now because organizer. Require reservation instead. Yeah, reservation is also perfect. Anyways, I'll use vacancy because in the queries it's used as vacancy, but I'm pretty sure reservation is the best word. Let's use reservation. Okay, let's just edit it over here. Reservation is a really good word. Reservation. Good. So yeah, so for event organizer, we have OID, we have name, we have department. Okay, so now let's see. We need, what else do we require? Okay, so we have 4 tables now ready. Oh yeah, since this is the organizing of event. Okay, so this is remembering the event ID, and this is the event. So we require to make one foreign key over here. Okay, let's copy this, paste it over here. Okay, writing it as OID. Okay, why I did this is because this event organizer is going to organize an event. Okay, so we need to have a relation telling like, yeah, this organizer is the person who's organizing this event. Okay, so this table is going to be connected to this. So this is going to be the primary key. Now let's connect it with the foreign key. Yeah. And yeah, so you can see how bad this is connected. So you can just change it over here. Like this. And we need to put arrow marks. Let's put arrow marks. Oh, right. Yeah, so you can see the arrow marks. So now we have got connection with this also, with these 2 tables. Right? Perfect. Okay. So this is for the events and event organizer. Okay. Now we require what do you call it? Yeah, participants. Who's going to participate? So we need to make a list who's going to participate. Participants. I hope my spelling is correct. And so what does the participants will have? So participants will also have an ID. So let's put it as PID. Yes, participants ID. And we want to know which event he's attending, right? So instead of writing the event name, after like writing event name, we will just put event ID. Okay. And the reason why we're doing this event ID is it's very easy because if I write all the event details again and again, all these things over here, okay, what's the point? So I'll just tell them connect from here to this. Okay. This will go to my foreign key. Yeah. So it'll be a little hard. So let me just connect it over here. Yeah. So it's looking neat now. Use wrong arrow. I'm always writing wrong arrows. Yeah. So let me remove this. So now you can see why participants is required. Participants is to understand exactly this is a unique ID for each participant and to know which event is he attending. Okay. Instead of me writing all these attributes again over here, I just reduce it to one attribute which is connecting to this. Right. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, we have 5 tables. Easy. So now we have all these 5 tables which we require. And in our case, we had one more table called logs table. Okay. And this is the reason why we had those triggers. Okay. And this logs table would basically contain LID, its own ID, if you can't see this. Okay. And what event is going on. So, okay. So let's say some trigger. Okay. So let me call this trigger name or something. Okay. Obviously, I would suggest you to reduce the size of the name as much as possible. And okay. So trigger name, we have that. And what else do I require? I will require date. Yeah, obviously I want to know exactly. Oh yeah, look, we forgot one thing over there on the top as well. So let me say date over there. So I'll say date of event. Okay. So I'm reducing it. If I write date of event, it's too big. It's very hard to remember and to write it down as well. So I'll reduce it. I'm pretty sure even in your lab manual, you see this where you use shortcuts for dates and everything. And even for these events, we forgot one thing, forgot to enter the date. So let's just move this little bit over here. This, sorry, this table is very big. Okay. Obviously, when we were making our project, we didn't think about so many things. Unfortunately, we couldn't uh, realize all these mistakes, but I'm pretty sure you guys can do it. Registration is a word, I guess. No, no, we can't use registration. You could say, yeah, so you're telling for participant table, the word you can use registration over there if you want to. So Zohra was telling us that you can use other words like registration also. I'm going to write date of event over here. You can see. Nice. So we have all our tables over here. So you can notice like this table doesn't even connect to anything because this table is literally connected with trigger. So only with trigger this is going to occur. So this ID is not required to connect to any other events or anything. Okay. And what else can we do is connect. Yeah. So this is student participant, right? So now we have the participant ID. We forgot one thing is like this is a table. I forgot what this table is called. This is a table without a primary key. If you guys can tell me exactly what this table is called, this is a very unique table. This is a table which does not have a primary key also. It only has foreign keys. I don't remember the name. If you can tell me exactly, this is a special case table. If you can tell me. So this table also connects to the user credentials, and that's because we want to connect the participant who's participating has to log in as well, right? So we are going to connect. Oh, keep forgetting the arrow marks. Yeah. So we have this. Let me connect it properly. For some reason, it looks very bad. Okay. So you can see the diagram, right? Yeah. So I hope you guys can remember exactly what this is called. Unfortunately, I can't remember what it's called. So this is a special case where the table has no primary key. And if you notice, all these tables have a primary key. So this has a primary key. This has a primary key. This has a primary key. This has a, yeah, it's a reference table. Yes, perfect. So you can see we have used a reference table also over here. It's very hard for you. Actually, reference table do come in a lot of projects, but when you're starting up your own DBMS project, it's very hard for you to get an idea on reference projects. Okay, even in our seniors, a lot of people did not put reference projects, reference table. Sorry. So yeah, so this is one unique position where you can use the reference table. Okay, so this is how like where the participants details is connected to the user credentials, and the EID is the events. So you can see this is referring it, and we don't require any primary key. Okay, and you can see this one table which is completely outside. Okay, so this is for the trigger, and I'm pretty sure this is a wrong thing to do. We should not always have a table which is not connected to any other table. But there is some special cases which you'll learn, I think, in later on in the subject. This is how you created your schema. So I'll not be taking more time. Since you already got to know how to make this, just need to click on export as PNG, and you'll get this. Can you see this bottom? When I'm going to click it, so you got your image, and now you can share this in your PowerPoint or your report and share it. Okay, so it's very easy for you to draw this. Make sure you name this, because once you close this, you might not save it or something. So what I'm going to do is, since I have space over here inside, I'm going to go a little side and show you guys really quickly how to make the OID over here was an attribute. It's organizer's ID. Okay. The reason why I write it OID is because we already had EID, right? So let me go back. So this OID over here, event organizer. So this is the primary key over here, and OID over here is a foreign key. Okay. So this event, who is the organizer? I want to know who's the organizer. Okay, so this is actually, this arrow is wrong. This arrow has to be like this. Okay, because this is a foreign key and this is a primary key. So this is going to contact event. I hope I solved your answer. Okay, so I'll go really quick on this because you already know how to draw in this. You can easily now understand what is the ER diagram as well. Okay, so ER diagram. So I require events. Okay, I'm not going to draw everything. I'm just going to showcase one table, and because the event table had the most what do you call attributes, I'm going to draw for that. What you could do is you could ellipse. Sorry, right. Let me drag it. Okay, so we have ellipse. Now this is going to have your attributes. So this was EID, if you guys remember. Sorry, EID. So let me zoom in if you guys can't see. Okay. We have one attribute, two attributes. Attributes. You know what? I'll just do it for user credentials because it'll be really quick. User credentials. So we have what we had over there is UID. We had username. We had password. Okay, and we had one last thing was the role. Right. Okay. Very simple. Now you have this ER diagram. You just connect with dots. So these dots are not going straight forward. Okay. So you could do is use smooth angle or something. You can change it to you curved something. So you can change what however you like and try it out. Actually, there's a better way to do this. I'm actually, if you go to, I think, yeah, I don't remember how better way you can draw these lines. For now, you could probably do this, or I like to do one way is like delete this, just make a line from here to here to that, and okay, I don't know exactly how I can do this. So anyways, so this is also looking better. You can just put it this, and then we need to do that for all the things. Yeah. And it over here. Confusing. You just rearrange them as you like to make it look better, and you can do that for all the things. I'll just rearrange this to make it look better. Yeah. So you got one of your tables. This is your user credential. How I build this? Because this schema diagram had this table which had 4 attributes. I made my table 4 attributes. Okay. Now since this is UID, you need to make sure this is underlined. Okay. So we should make this underlined. Okay. Also, I totally forgot. You need to do that also in the schema diagram as well, so that you can easily understand that it is, sorry, UID and copy is underlined. Okay, make sure you put underline to all the diagrams in the bottom. Yeah, straight line, I'm not getting it. I hope you guys can experiment on it and figure it out. I'm just going on really fast. So I'll make another table so that I can show you the special thing. What is it called? Relations. Okay, so how do you make relations in this? Okay, so you have user credentials, and we had one more table called what we had. We had students, right? So we had this students table which is connected with really one UID. So we had this UID connected to the students, right? So let's create a U students table. Okay, I'm just creating an example, but I would suggest you to experiment more on this and make your own design and like make it as good as possible, visually possible. So I'm going to create student table. Okay, I need 3 attributes. Let me just copy this. Paste. This one was SID. Okay, and what else we had in my table? It was name, and it was paste again. It's so simple to make over here, right? It's much more simple to draw in your paper, pencil. Sorry, I used caps over here, but make sure you have the same uppercase and lowercase everywhere. So if I use straight, okay, so one of you guys told me straight. So let's try straight. And it's not so good, anyways. So yeah, so we got this another table. Now you remember you have something called as it's a relational database. So you need to make sure you have that relation. So relations are mostly in diamond shape. So since user credentials is talking to the students, okay, so this is what it is. I hope anybody of you guys can just tell me what is the relation between these two things. If you can guess. Yeah, I guess there's no time. Okay, so I'll just tell you. So there's authentication. Okay, so the relation between the user credentials and student is user credentials is authenticating the student. Okay, it is telling like this is a valid student. He can log in. Okay? So this is how you make your relation. Uh, okay. So you get the idea. You can create your whole ER diagram like that, and you would probably get something like one second, let me just use this. So you would eventually you will reach something like this. Okay, so you could get some design like this. Okay, I'm not sure if you have learned the relational what do you call it, the values, if it's single or if it's one to many or something. But that also can be added. You just need to add text. Okay, and you can change colors, experiment and check it out. Okay, so this is how you can make it that creatively. Just go back and do something in the last. This is the last thing. Okay. So for front-end development, okay, I'm going to end it. This is what you're going to do tomorrow. So we're going to do only these 3 things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But before that, we need to make sure how to design the user interface. Okay, and what all images, if you require something to make it look, how many pages you need. So all these things we'll look at it tomorrow if we have time. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Imran, how many sessions do you want tomorrow?
I am not calculated properly exactly. I'll let you know later on. If that's possible.
Yeah, Imran, it was good explanation for front end and also back end of DBMS. Student was lagging how DBMS front end and back end looks, and also Imran has very displayed very explanation